Hey, and we're recording Good Morning. I'm shooting on location at my house. This morning we're going to talk about English language arts, punctuation marks, second video. If you haven't seen my first video, the first video was about periods, question marks, and exclamation points. Those are the end punctuation, what we usually put at the end of a sentence. Now I want to talk about the second most common used what do you call these things? Punctuation marks is the comma and the apostrophe. Let's start off with comma first. It's such a funny name, these words, but it's a good thing that you know them. I hope you're writing these down in your notes, as you should. The comma looks like this. It's a little period with a curved line, and there are 4 guiding principles to use commas correctly. You're going to have to write these down, and I'm going to give some examples so you can see it in action. First principle is when we use a comma is before a coordinator. Remember fanboys, coordinating conjunction, when we use for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so? Well, whenever we see those in a sentence, we usually put a comma. Not all the time. There's going to be certain times that you don't. But generally, we do. And here's an example. You did a great job, so I'll give you an A. Well, we can break up that sentence a little bit and we can put a pause in there. And a comma is like a pause. It helps the reader stop. So you'll hear some people speak it like this. You did a great job, so I'll give you an A. It is before a coordinator. Okay, the second one is a series of words. Sometimes when you're talking or when you see an author write something, if they're listing lots of things or actions, they'll put commas in between all of them. Here's an example. Here it is without the commas. He drank milk, Coke, juice, and water before breakfast. Or for breakfast. Sounds like an interesting breakfast, huh? Well, here we have a lot of things, so we need a comma to break it up so we understand what it's talking about. He drank milk, Coke, juice, and water for breakfast. So we took these things, milk, Coke, juice, and we put a comma in between those. Third, after introducing a word group, or a clause, some people would say. After you introduce a word group, usually we put a comma. And let's read out the sentence, the example that I have here. When you finish playing, come home immediately. When you finish playing, come home immediately. Now we want a comma after the introductory word group. And it makes sense if you think about it. When you finish playing, comma, we're going to break up that action, that thought, come home immediately. So we use a comma to introduce something, and then the rest of the sentence finishes it off. Okay, the last reason why we use comma is to set off interruptions. Sometimes when we speak, we don't always do it, but you'll hear some people put another thought into their thinking or words. And we usually set those off by commas on both sides. Let me give you an example. He is, of course, the president. Now, if we took out a group of words in here, we would have a regular sentence. Example, he is the president. So when we have an interruption of thought, someone who's writing this may be just trying to emphasize that he is the president, so he says the words, of course, which means obviously. So he is, comma, of course, comma, the president. Okay, those are the 4 guiding principles. I hope you wrote those down. We'll practice those in class. All right, and the next one we're going to do is the apostrophe. What a big word. Make sure you write this down. Apostrophe. The apostrophe looks exactly like the comma, but it's placed differently. And I'm going to show you how to do that now. All right, there are two main uses for the apostrophe. There are other uses, but we're going to go with the main two that I want you to know right now. The first one, it shows possession. When you have something or you own something, we have to use an apostrophe sometimes to make it obvious. Let's look at some examples. We have a friend named Marco, and he has hair. And we want to talk about his hair. So in order to use the apostrophe correctly, I'm going to say Marco's hair. So we actually add another letter, S, and we use the apostrophe up on top in between the last letter of his name and the S. Marco's hair is on fire. We're talking about Marco's hair, so we have to use an apostrophe S. Alright, let's look at this next one. Now we have a plural word. This was singular, so we had to add an S. A plural word, which means there's more than one student, and all of their projects. So we want to talk about the students' projects were really good. Well, we have to use an apostrophe here, but we don't use it in the normal sense. We use it at the end. The students' projects. So that's how we use the apostrophe. As you can see, it's higher on the word, not down low. If it was down here, it's a comma. Up here, an apostrophe. Okay, the last reason. Contractions. Contraction means to bring closer together or to contract. You may have learned that in science. When things contract, they get smaller. So in language arts, we take two words and put them into one. Let me give you some examples. If I said, I am, but I wanted to make that shorter, I could just say, I'm. So what we do, it sounds funny, but what we do is we combine the words, cut out the first letter of the second word, put the apostrophe there, and now it's I'm, like I'm a teacher. How about this one? They are. Well, you can contract that and use an apostrophe. You would take out the first letter of the second word, put it together, and you have an apostrophe right here. There. It just combines the two words. And last, now you can't do this for all words. This is only specifically some words that you can contract. He is. We can shorten that up and we can say he's. Like he's going to school instead of saying he is going to school. Now that's good for you to know, but let me give you a tip. As a teacher, I'm a big fan of writing all the words out that you're speaking and not using contractions. It's only there for you to recognize what is being said, but for our purposes, I would love for you to write using the full words. It just sounds better. But this is proper English, so I just wanted you to know that. And that is the lesson for today. I hope you guys have a great day. Hasta la vista.